There is no place in Iran that the long arm of Israel cannot reach, and that's true of the entire Middle East. Far from being lambs led to the slaughter, Israel's soldiers have fought back with incredible courage and with heroic sacrifice. And I have another message for this assembly and for the world outside this hall. We are winning.
I have a message for the long arm of Mr. Netanyahu, which is that it's the U.S. Air Force, it's the U.S. military, it's the U.S. Navy, it's not you.
Thank you, Jeffrey Sachs, for putting some reality into this stupid guy, Benjamin Netanyahu. Israel is literally nothing without the United States of America and our weapon and our military. Thank you for making them understand that.
Netanyahu, it's the United States, and you're dragging us into your wars so that you can dominate millions of Palestinian people and deny them their rights. It's not your long arm. It happens to be ours. The fact that the Israel lobby has manipulated our politics long enough is the reason you stand there and say that. But to say that precisely when the president of Iran has spoken exactly the opposite and called for peace, rapprochement, reconciliation, and anyone can go online and look under the UN General Assembly, look it up on Google and type in the General Assembly and find the speech of the Iranian president and compare that with the speech of Netanyahu. You'll be very surprised who speaks about peace and who speaks about war because they have the U.S. military in their pocket. It's really amazing, and it's very dangerous.
Here he is again, same speech, just this bombastic, cut number 10.
All the hostility directed at Israel this year, it's not about Gaza. It's about Israel. It's always been about Israel's very existence. And I say to you, until the Jewish state is treated like other nations, until this anti-Semitic swamp is drained, the UN will be viewed by fair-minded people everywhere as nothing more than a contemptuous farce.
Disagree with the Netanyahu administration and you're anti-Semitic.
Every line a lie. Every line a lie. The Arab and Islamic State said in Riyadh last November, 2 states side by side, living in peace, security for both. The Arab League said the same thing this spring in Bahrain. 2 states living side by side in peace. Netanyahu doesn't want 2 states living side by side in peace. That's the bottom line that needs to be understood. This is about Israel dominating the entire region. And that's the big lie of all of this. This isn't about anti-Semitism. This isn't about Israel's security. This is about Israel, what they call Greater Israel. And when Netanyahu showed a map as he stood there, you could see it, by the way. He showed a map of Israel with no Palestine on that map.
There's so many things I want to say here. So Israel has managed to make themselves the victim here and say, oh, Palestinians don't want Israel to exist and we're just trying to defend ourselves. When Palestinians and the whole Muslim world has been saying for decades that no, Israel is lying. All they're trying to do is just take over Palestinian land and erase the Palestinian state. They don't want Palestine to exist. And despite how manipulated the media is here in the West, in America, look what actually happened. Palestinian land over the decades is pretty much gone now. And Israel just seems to get bigger and bigger. And they still cry about, oh, they don't want us to exist, as if they can do anything. If anything, this war showed us that Palestinians have no power to do anything, right? Like, they destroyed Gaza and Palestine couldn't do anything. So it's like, enough of this victim, man. People need to wake up. And I think they are slowly starting to wake up. I just hope it happen faster.
The map pointed to Israel, which would be all of the territory from the Jordan to the sea, So Gaza, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, the Golan, all of that was shown as Israel on Netanyahu's map. That's the point. Why is the United States in that business, for heaven's sake? And many of them extremist religious fundamentalists think that some 7th century BCE text promised them that land, and so they're going to keep it no matter whether the world goes to war, no matter what happens to the United States or anyone else. Yes.
See, look at this. They've been putting out maps of Greater Israel forever, and still people think that Palestinians don't want Israel to exist. No, Israel doesn't want everyone else in the area to exist. It's just insane. And since when do we make policy based on religion? When do we do that, right? When the heck do we do that? What if I told you that, oh, my religion says I should be a billionaire and I just took all this money from you? Does that make sense?
That's the map. And if you look at the map that he's holding in the right hand that says the curse, if one gets close to that, it shows Israel as controlling all of the territory.
Right.
This is the point. And that's what this is about. They're not looking for one moment at a political way out. And that long arm of Israel, again, yeah, that's the American Sixth Fleet. That's the American armaments that we ship every day. That's the American bombs. That's the American intelligence. That's the American satellites that are guiding Israel's bombs to their precise assassination addresses. Now, come on. This is us. Why are we complicit in this to our own danger? And you look at it's both Harris and Trump. They fall all over each other to say who's going to be more loyal to the Israel lobby.
Right.
They compete. That's their main competition. You're not loyal enough. I'm loyal. I'm going to do everything. They can have complete control over U.S. policy.
Are there any negotiations for a ceasefire still going on with respect to Gaza, or have the negotiators recognized that they've been duped because Netanyahu never wanted a ceasefire from the beginning?
Israel kills the negotiators. Who are the negotiators? Haniya, he was killed. They don't want peace. They're not looking for that. Yeah, they want a 1 week or 2 week ceasefire to get their hostages home so that Israel can resume the war. What they don't want is a permanent ceasefire. That would ruin everything, wouldn't it? He said, we'll win. It's very mature. Oh, my word. What a peace-loving man. We'll win. The long arm of Israel. We can reach anyone. We can reach Iran. We can reach throughout the whole Middle East. What? Absolutely, somebody should wake up in the United States and say, hey, we have a country. We have our own interests. We have policies, movements.
I just want to say I love Jeffrey Sachs. His way of just speaking is so sincere. And then the little drops of sarcasm is just hilarious. And I totally agree. Someone needs to wake up in the U.S. government because we were America first, right? That's how this government got voted. So then why are we complicit in all of this? Why are we helping them out in all of this? Israel has a budget surplus. Israel has healthcare for all. Israel has so many. They're doing fine. They're like a 35-year-old son who still lives with his parents. We're the parents. The United States of America, we are the parents. They do not need to be living here. We need to kick them out so they could be independent. Why are they still living on the couch here?
The idea is that Israel will control all of the territory from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean. It will dominate the Palestinians. It will do whatever it can to push out the millions of Palestinians who live there. Some will die under U.S. bombs. Some will be ethnically cleansed if Israel gets its way. And the rest will certainly simply be suppressed. And Israel wants to be such a bully in the region that the U.S. supports a two-state solution. It's worse than pathetic, because what the U.S. does is say, we back Israel no matter what. We'd like a two-state solution, but Israel is explicitly, completely, unequivocally opposed to a state of Palestine. So we have given Israel completely a blank check or a green light or whatever you want to call it to pursue its maximalist agenda. And the only way Israel can do that is with the US military. But even there, this will get more and more dangerous, just as it has, because Iran is a major, powerful country, although Israel's itching for the US to go to war with Iran. And Iran has partners in the world as well, including Russia and other powerful countries that have nuclear weapons. So this is another part of the story of the US government bringing us ever closer to nuclear war, whether it's in Ukraine or whether it's in the Middle East or whether it's in China, where the US is gearing up for war with China, as the Navy says, to be prepared for war by 2027. We have a foreign policy which is making the US, the most powerful country in the world, profoundly unsafe and unsecure, because the only thing that threatens US security is nuclear war. And yet we are stoking that risk precisely because of Israel's recklessness, because of Ukraine's recklessness, and because of our own recklessness. General Assembly.
If you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. It would really help me out and get this video out to a larger audience. We need to make people aware of this. Right now, only about 5% of you that watch all of my videos are actually subscribed to the channel. Please just go ahead and subscribe. It takes 2 seconds. We are probably one of the fastest growing channels in the niche. Let's get up there. Please do your part. Thank you. Now let's continue.
Voted to support the implementation of legality of the international law according to the ICJ ruling. And who stood against that? The United States of America. We're not interested either in international law. We're just brazenly interested in whatever that part of our foreign policy decides. And since the part of our foreign policy in the Middle East is decided by Israel and the Israel lobby, and the American people have nothing to say about any of this. So there is no standard whatsoever that Israel will obey. And the language that the Israeli diplomats use at the UN is foul-mouthed and abusive. It's disgusting, actually. And I'm using harsh terms, but I've never seen of the other 192 countries behavior like the Israelis when they come to the General Assembly.
Like I said, it looked like Benjamin Netanyahu was threatening the rest of the Middle East that, hey, stay in your lane. Our arm could go all around the Middle East. It looked like a threat to me.
And yell at the rest of the nations of the world. But they wouldn't do it for 1 second if they didn't have the United States in their pocket. That is our failing.
Right.
Iran elected a very peace-seeking president just a couple of months ago. I watched him at the UN all during the week. Every time he spoke of peace. He spoke of ending the killings. Now, when Iran's new president was inaugurated, the inaugural gift of Israel was to assassinate the political leader and negotiator of Hamas during the inauguration week. So that was Israel's way of welcoming a peace-seeking new president of Iran. Netanyahu does not want peace. He wants war. He wants war for Israel's unchallenged dominance. And the only way to have unchallenged dominance is to completely dominate people who do not want to be dominated by Israel and who have rights, legal rights, human rights that Israel is violating. So Netanyahu's answer to a call for peace from Iran is precisely a call for war, that Israel is escalating in part because Iran is seeking to make peace. And Israel doesn't want peace. It wants to defeat Iran, and it wants to show that it is the completely unchallengeable power of the region that can do whatever it wants.
Benjamin Netanyahu is becoming a power-hungry fool. This man is walking around like he thinks he is the United States. Like, dude, you are not. And one day will come when he starts just saying no right to the United States face. I mean, it's happened several times with Joe Biden anyways. But this guy needs to get in reality. He is not the United States. He is dependent on the United States. And the United States needs to figure this out because in a way, I mean, he has them in their pocket. He can tell them to do whatever he wants.
It's devastating. Israel is on absolutely violent rampage. It's aiming to create a Mideast-wide war to draw the United States into that war. And the U.S. keeps saying yes. We have the weakest president imaginable, maybe not even functioning. But whatever Israel does, the U.S. government stands up and salutes. And it's extremely dangerous. It's contrary to America's national security. It's contrary to America's interests. And it's contrary to peace, in effect, because the U.S. is providing all of the weaponry. It's providing the intelligence. It's providing the green lights, the go-ahead, the financing, another $8 billion package last week. So basically, Netanyahu is commander-in-chief of the U.S. Military in the Middle East, it seems, for the moment, and he gets his way, no matter how violent, how many people killed, how many opportunities for peace are lost. That's not the issue for Israel. The issue for Israel is to dominate the region, and since it has the U.S. military in its pocket, that's what it's going to try to do.
Benjamin Netanyahu ordered the murder of a foreign leader, and within a few hours, the murder was carried out. There were no consequences whatsoever. In fact, the American government lauded him for doing this. The Israelis dropped 160,000 pounds of explosive material in an effort to kill one man and a half dozen of his aides, and succeeded in doing so.
And the point is,
financed by the American government.
These people do not care about human life. And when there is mass slaughter, as there is in Gaza, is when there is hundreds or thousands killed in an attack aimed at one person, as in central Lebanon, as there is under U.S. bombs in other parts of the world, in Yemen or in Iraq or in Syria. Truth doesn't matter. Lives don't matter. They don't count the dead.
How significant is the death of Nasrallah? Was he just a figurehead, a spokesperson, a PR guy, a religious leader? Or is this a significant setback for Hezbollah militarily? I ask that because as we speak, the New York Times is reporting that Israeli commandos have begun some sort of a ground incursion into southern Lebanon, while the Israeli cabinet is meeting Monday night Israeli time to decide whether or not to engage in a full-fledged invasion, which they haven't done there since they got beat 20 years ago.
From all I know, he was a very significant figure and an important leader. And it was not just Nasrallah that was assassinated, but many other leaders in Hezbollah. And that followed last week's attack, which killed and wounded thousands with the Israeli terrorist attack, because it killed absolutely innocent people, children, women, bystanders, shoppers, by the explosions of the pagers and other handheld devices and blinded many others. So this is clearly a real military setback in the short term. But the idea that Israel strikes a decisive blow and somehow is able to achieve its political objective, which is domination over all of Palestine, ethnic cleansing, whatever is needed to be the unquestioned dominant power, will not work because there will be more resistance, there will be more arms, there will be more attacks on Israelis, there will be more missiles fired. And Israel's dominance, so-called, depends entirely on the United States. And
Another great interview by Jeffrey Sachs. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you really want to help support this channel, become a member. It's only $2.99 a month. It really helps this channel out with revenue, especially because some videos do get demonetized. Now let's finish this video off.
we have $1 trillion a year military machine. And I wouldn't even say it's out for hire. We give it away to others for whatever strange purposes, because someone gets involved in some other country because of the lobbying. But we give away a $1 trillion military machine for a few $100 million of campaign contributions. It's a hell of a bargain they bought into.
Yes.
But how ridiculous and sad and dangerous for the United States.